Hi guys, thanks for tuning into another episode of Nuggets News. Well, I want to talk about everything that's going on in the world because it really feels like we're approaching a defining moment in human history, and a lot of the censorship that's going on and talking about what is free speech and where do we draw the lines. These are the values of the original cypherpunks that spawned Bitcoin and decentralized systems to build a new form of money or a decentralized internet, censorship free apps, and that type of thing. I'm going to tie it all together hopefully at the end as we go over what's been happening, as it seems that there's really a global crackdown on free speech and even what you're allowed to think and say online. And we know with the technology that's coming, it's only going to get worse. The judge ordering the ban of X or Twitter in Brazil, a first country where they can no longer use this platform that has become the best place to post everything from written content to long form video content and have these discussions, retweet and tie pieces together. It's really become the place where a lot of people are spending their most time now and doing their most research. And the other thing that we're witnessing is the rise of, I guess, almost an army of decentralized researchers or people that just want the truth. And this has become the platform to get maybe more of the truth out there, that there was no way you'd never hear about this in the traditional mainstream media and that type of thing. So this also took place in Australia, where we had this war against Elon Musk saying, hey, take down this content and we're ordering you to do this. So it's not the first time it's happened, but it's been followed through here with Brazil. So Elon's also got Starlink, the global internet as well. So he did originally say that Starlink wasn't going to enforce this ban, and if you could still use it via Starlink, but now he's backtracked and said he is going to comply. And Brazil have come out and said if you used a VPN, I think it's $8,000 a day you're going to get fined and that type of thing. So it looks like it is in place for now. But I guess a lot of people are saying, well, is Elon Musk the good guy? He's come out and been this big proponent of free speech and whatnot, but he holds a lot of power. So in this video, I guess I'm going to talk about a lot of controversial topics and try and stay pretty neutral so you can make up your own mind with what's going on. But Elon Musk has backtracked on certain free speech things in the past. He actually deleted a really controversial tweet yesterday with retweeting a Tucker Carlson podcast. Now, Tucker's now the number one podcast in the world after he got cancelled and taken off Fox News. So these are super interesting times. But if you think about Elon, he's got X, which has become almost the number one social media platform. He's launching his own XAI. So we know artificial intelligence is this huge thing, and it's getting harder and harder to know what's real with how high quality images and videos it can pump out. And also Elon Musk got this Neuralink, the chip implant. So if we think about big picture, we're going to get to central bank digital currencies and digital IDs and social media platforms. Elon has got so much power. So at the moment, you can maybe argue that he's using it for good or his own interests and research, but this can easily go the wrong way as well. Even if his intentions are good, but then he gets captured or whatnot. There's so much power if you've got the biggest social media company, Neuralink, AI, Starlink, as well as Tesla and self-driving cars. So just keep all that in mind. And again, let me know on any of these topics what you think below down in the comments, because it is just fascinating to me. Now, Mark Zuckerberg's also come out and spoken about the pressure that they got from these three-letter government agencies to censor content around COVID in this article. But you guys know this has been happening around everything, elections and any topic that they don't like, cancel their accounts, squash that in the algorithm, that type of behavior. And this was all full conspiracy theory a few years ago. But as I said, there's more and more people that have been down this rabbit hole for years and years and waiting for this, I guess, the truth to all come out. And it feels like it's finally surfacing. And I guess it's a dangerous time in some ways, because the powers that be are losing grip on their power, seem to be doing more and more extreme things. And I think everyone agrees that the world feels like it's in a really crazy place right now and like something's not right. And I guess that undertone for me is, it's almost like the powerful are losing grip on, they were the gatekeepers of information, and that is really changing. So the other thing we've seen is Pavel, the CEO of Telegram, get arrested in France. Whether or not this makes him more popular in future, as the article suggests here, and he becomes a bit of an Edward Snowden type figure, who knows? But it's these Assanges and these freedom fighters over the years that have been dealt the harshest punishments. But I think it's to a point now where the genie's out of the bottle. And as I said, there's so many independent researchers and people are just interested in this. TikTok and all these platforms where you can get little bits of information out. And it's not necessarily the whole story or the truth, but people are picking away at these threads and going down these rabbit holes to build a better picture of what's actually going on and what has been going on for maybe decades, to where this all began and who's really in charge and pulling all the strings. So Telegram have quietly changed some of their website fine print, I guess, just recently. And the part that they changed was that all these chats are private and they do not process requests related to them. So now that they've got the CEO out, he's in prison, have the people that are left in charge succumb to the power, and a lot of these apps that people thought were private, or Facebook added encrypted messenger, but we kind of know that there's a backdoor now to all these three-letter government agencies have to get this information, spy and monitor everything we're doing. So this isn't a paid ad or anything, but Session is a decentralized private messenger, which has been around for a few years now, over 1 million downloads, and people are looking for alternatives now. Well, how do I actually have a conversation and in private that isn't some sort of backdoor to it and that type of thing? The other thing we've really seen is, as we've had the rise of this decentralized army of influencers or reporters, independent journalists, whatever you want to call them, more and more of them are being targeted to be cancelled, but that's failed. So we've seen, Russell Brand was talking a lot of truth and treading on some toes, and they came after him. We saw it big time with Rogan around COVID and all the stuff he's been talking about, but it's almost like they're too big to fail. Just like we saw with Tucker Carlson. You get cancelled and fired from Fox News and they've said, bad luck, he's gone now. And guess what? He's the #1 podcast in the world within a few weeks. So I guess that shows me the appetite from the average citizen that wants to know the truth and is just sick of watching the BS on normal TV. And this gets us to Trump and why this election and just the world feels like we're heading to this pivotal point. Now, Trump's been talking everything from a strategic Bitcoin reserve, which in and of itself is slightly anti-US dollar, I guess. But just really interesting. Who would have thought that these conversations are front and center of elections and even possible? Awesome to see how much Bitcoin's matured and how far it's come. But a lot of these opinions are very different to the traditional or the establishment values, I guess. And we'll talk about RFK and a lot of things that he wants to do. Now he's running with Trump as well. So one of the things that Trump said is he wants to release the client list if elected. So obviously there's so many ties in this rabbit hole. You can go down it, and there's amazing documentaries even on YouTube, which is censored, but let alone Rumble and X and these other places which are allowing a lot more free speech and less censorship. So it feels like there's a lot of people, a lot of powerful people that are probably pretty nervous if this full list comes out. But it's not just that list, it's all the people that are tied to it as well. So, was it any surprise that there was an assassination attempt on Trump? And again, you can look into that, just how it all happened and unfolded, and it just doesn't add up. It doesn't feel right. Some of you will be familiar with this story, the people that are connected to the whole Epstein list and the Clintons and some of the stuff. But guys, go down these rabbit holes and do your own research. And there's just so many little bits of the puzzle that people have joined together now that it's kind of becoming obvious that there's something really foul at play beneath the surface, and that we've been living in some sort of managed reality where you're only allowed to think this. And a lot of people kind of, weren't aware of this, or it was conspiracy theory stuff. But I think after COVID in the last few years, more and more people are questioning everything and coming to some of these conclusions. So go down some of these rabbit holes if you haven't already. But I guess the question is, again, where are these ties and who's really running it? Terms like the deep state get thrown around, Illuminati over the years. This is a clip from Stanley Quebec movie, and he's left a lot of Easter eggs in a lot of his movies about what is really going on in Hollywood and that type of thing. So check out his movies if you haven't already, Stanley Kubrick. But this gets us back to, well, who's probably running the show and who are these shadow three-letter government organizations that seem to have more power and be acting independently of government? And this gets into even the UFO stuff. Where's all this black money going from these black budgets? And a lot of this stuff that's coming out slowly now. Now, people are questioning a lot of the UFO disclosure stuff. Is the stuff that's actually coming out more of a distraction and not really the truth type of thing? But it seems to be these agencies that have been conducting, crazy experiments on consciousness and psychedelics back in the 60s and astral projection. All these rabbit holes you can go down on things that were kind of seen as woo-woo, but through the Freedom of Information Act, we have a lot of these documents now out in the open, clearly showing all this stuff that was going on, and these agencies saying, yeah, this stuff was real and works and whatnot. Mossad is the other one. That's Israel's intelligence agency. So a lot of people say that they're pretty much everyone's heard of the CIA, but a lot of people say that Mossad, Israel's intelligence agency, is even more powerful and working hand in hand with the US on some things. Really controversial to talk about this type of stuff, I know, but these are the conclusions that other people are getting to through all their research. It's not just me saying this type of stuff. So every US senator has taken money from the Israeli lobby, and you can go to their website and they talk about how all 100 US senators have taken AIPAC money to the tunes of millions of dollars here. They kind of brag about 98%. If you're backed by AIPAC, you're basically gonna get in. And people are starting to say, well, why is it? And even if you know nothing about this and not being racist or anything, people are just saying, well, hold on, why is this one country have so much influence over the US, which is the global superpower and that type of thing? So people are asking these really hard questions and doing this research, which I think is great, because ultimately I don't think anyone really knows yet, but we want to get to the truth. Even just recently, we had the sinking of this super yacht, and if you look into this conspiracy theory, they talk a lot about the AI spyware software involved, and then these yachts in this port in Italy, where this one yacht seems to get hit by this, almost like a mini cyclone, they describe it or whatever, and there's other yachts in the area that are all fine that kind of come to the rescue, and then the head honchos, the important, powerful people, die, and the crew all get rescued. So there's all these things where people are saying, hold on, what's going on? This doesn't add up. Helicopter crash, Iran's in the news at the moment, all of these conflicts, and all of a sudden the president, was it the foreign minister as well, die in this helicopter crash, and they say, official mainstream report, just caused by weather, nothing to see here, guys. All the way back to stuff like the JFK assassination. People are going back and really digging deep and finding all these things that don't add up and connect to the same group of the shadowy people in the background. Now, obviously, RFK Jr. is super passionate about all this stuff after his uncle, he believes, was assassinated and the CIA was involved, and saying that they want to bring this to light. But he's talking and treading on the toes and going after big pharma, big food. It's pretty, most people know that a lot of the stuff in our food, all the sugar, you can look into the colorings, food dyes, pesticides, and even a lot of this stuff is illegal in other countries, European countries and so on, but it's still used in America just because the power that these corporations have to lobby. And it kind of, it makes you ask this question about, if it's all profit driven and you make more money the sicker people are, is the whole system designed? And you guys know I used to be a pharmacist, and I quit that industry because I saw firsthand that if you want to make people healthy, as I did, you end up just peddling drugs to people. People are on prescriptions and those medications that don't get you better. They mask the symptoms for the rest of your life. And more people are realizing, what I'm being told to eat by the food pyramid doesn't make you healthy. You've got to do your own research. And these medicines that I'm being told, people struggling for years with different diseases, and then they find out they just tweak their diet and exercise, and there are natural ways to get better for the majority of the time, and people are questioning this whole model. I want to talk about Australia because it does seem Australia is almost like a test bed for a lot of these policies. They're not the only country talking about rolling out a central bank digital currency, but they've been very forward in saying digital IDs are coming and you're going to need them for social media. We had the harshest lockdowns, we had the harshest mandate policies and that type of thing. So if you're familiar with AUKUS and these alliances between Australia, New Zealand, the UK, America, it does seem like Australia's almost kind of this test bed to roll out a lot of these harsh crackdown type stuff. So I'm really interested to see if that continues to be the case going forward. The EU are trying these vaccination cards, tested in 5 countries, and I don't want to talk about this stuff too much, but it's pretty wild at a time where most people now kind of understand that something doesn't add up around COVID, and the fact that we've still got these excess deaths in a lot of these countries that had the strictest mandates and whatnot. And again, I'm not saying I know the answer, the cause of why all these people are dying and continue to die at a high rate in these countries. But wouldn't you want to look into it and get to the bottom of this? And again, we've seen just this week, 2/3 of the submissions made to the Senate inquiry have been suppressed and key evidence omitted from the report. You're not going to get to the truth when every time we actually finally get someone to look into it, it's all censored and all the documents are redacted and we've omitted this, that, or the other. It's just crazy stuff. If politicians really represent the people and want the best for the people, you'd want to find honest answers to all these questions, wouldn't you? So the other, I guess, really topical issue is what is happening at the moment in Europe, and Australia's about to take even more immigration from more different countries we haven't before. But Britain is going to start releasing these offenders to make way for people who are posting stuff online. I think the stat is something like 3,000 people now have been arrested in the UK for posting stuff the government doesn't agree with, and anything that they deem you don't agree with, they can say that's hateful or whatever they use. But nothing makes sense anymore. Why wouldn't governments want to be looking after their own people? Why are they giving more privileges to the bad guys and people from other countries? If someone from another country wants to come and live in your country, shouldn't they do it because they like that country and they like that culture and the values and the food and tourist spots they want to see, whatever, make a better way of life? But it just seems like the opposite is happening. So here's a bit of a list of things that have been happening lately, but guys, this is just scratching the surface. I could make a video, and I guess if you guys like this kind of content, I'm happy to do more of it because, like I said, so many people are doing this now. There's so many good resources out there, and a lot of these platforms are allowing it. So let me know what you think again in the comments below. But a lot of these European countries now are saying this is too much. We've had open hearts and open borders, but since we've been letting people in, they haven't been able to integrate well. And I spoke about this in the video with Martin the other day, how Australia is a super multicultural country, and a lot of that was because it works reasonably well compared to a lot of other places because of that integration and acceptance and whatnot. Whereas what we're seeing now in Europe is just this butting of heads, tension, emotions running high, and it leads to riots. And even I think we're probably going to see stuff like this in Australia, because if you don't have enough homes for people to live in, massive housing shortage in Australia, and affordability crisis, why on earth would we say, hey, let's let in 1.5 million people and increase our population by 5% when most people are struggling and can't afford a house? What does that end up with? Well, it ends up with another million people that are not housed and integrated well into society. And this is where the different beliefs and this type of thing, it all adds up to this friction that results in more crime. And that's exactly what we saw in places like Sweden, where they went from some of the lowest crime statistics to, I think they went to second in terms of violent crimes and rapes and that type of thing over that period where they had this huge immigration. I'm not saying that all people from different countries are bad or anything like that. I'm just saying you need that integration and values. And why would someone want to move to another country if they don't like that place and they're going to cause trouble? And these are the sort of questions that I think you've really got to ask. And just this morning, we've seen Conor McGregor announce he's going to run for president of Ireland. next year. And Ireland is one of those countries that's always been pretty open, migrants and whatnot, but it's got to the point now where there's just riots, and a lot of these places are saying, hey, we're going to give out more handouts to immigrants rather than look after our own people. And that is upsetting the local population in all these countries. The AfD in Germany becomes the first far-right party to win since 1945. So, the media is labeling anyone far-right that, this party actually comes out and said, we believe in family values and protecting German traditions and that type of thing. But anything that's seen as, I guess, protecting or saying, hey, slow down, we need to question and put immigration on pause until we can tidy up in our own backyard and make everyone happy and healthy and get our economy going. Because I think one thing that people really don't realize is that it's impossible to ever take everyone. So even if you're taking in people from war-torn countries with tragedies happening and you want to help out, if you think about it, the population of these areas, millions, hundreds of millions, all the places where things are happening around the world, 1 billion people that would prefer to live in the West, it's a drop in the ocean. You can take 1 million immigrants and then their population grows by 2 or 3 million. So you're never actually making any difference in terms of relocating people to a safer location. You have to help, or the only solution is for them to sort out their own backyard and country, And now it's to the point where people are saying, well, hold on, we're not making a difference. We're taking in way more people than ever. We don't have enough jobs. We don't have enough houses, and it's ending in riots and increases in violent crime. This has to stop. And that's kind of the point we're getting to now, where we're seeing these people deemed as far right rising into popularity. As I just mentioned before, that world map about people immigrating and population and that type of thing. Not too much more to add on that, but I really want people to get that image around how big global population is, and when these immigration numbers, it's a drop in the ocean. You can never actually make a difference. So what's the point of bringing people in if there's all these negative results that are now well documented that are taking place? So tying this all together, back to Bitcoin and crypto and decentralized systems, all this is extremely bullish for crypto in the medium to longer term. I think stock markets could get a bit shaky as if Trump gets elected and there's going to be a lot of different policies, then people are going to want to take money out of the market and take chips off of the table and then redeploy it into things that they know he's going to be friendly towards, put it that way. So a bit of stock market volatility wouldn't surprise me. There's a lot of leverage in that system and there's a lot to unwind. But in terms of Bitcoin, like I said, the strategic reserve, decentralized money, inflation, none of those things have really changed. But the other thing that it's allowed is a decentralized way for people to fund different projects or independent researchers and that type of thing. Whereas what we've seen globally is, the Canadian truckers, you get your bank account frozen for certain beliefs. So this is a huge protection against that, which we haven't really had in the past. Even going back to the WikiLeaks days when Bitcoin was donated to help to those type of causes. So decentralized money, super important, but decentralized information, decentralized internet, whether it's Ethereum or another, is only going to become more and more important. Like I mentioned before, the decentralized session messaging app. People are realizing that any one central point of failure can be enough. Okay, and that's when we see where are we with the arrest of the Telegram CEO. It doesn't matter what your values are. He still believes in free speech and all that. It's a central point of failure, they can come after you and arrest you. So you need these decentralized systems with thousands and thousands of nodes that can't be censored. Okay, this is the way forward, and this can be, if we get hopefully into, the good case here is that we get a golden age where all the bad guys get exposed, the truth comes out, we get to kind of wipe things clean and go again in a better direction. I'm really hopeful for that, and these systems are going to be a huge part of that. Now, I'm not saying that more centralized blockchains aren't still going to do really well, and there's not still heaps of use cases for those. But for everything that I've spoken about today, touching on censorship, free speech, sensitive topics, and making yourself uncancelable, you need to be on these fully, decentralized systems in the future. So Hopefully that's been a lot. Some of you that might be too much to swallow, controversial stuff. Hopefully I've tried to stay pretty neutral and you can do your own digging on all the topics I've mentioned. But other than that, I hope you guys have enjoyed that one. I look forward to reading all your comments. Smash that like button, share this video around, and I'll talk to you again soon. Cheers.